Hi, welcome to our program. Let's talk UIC. My name is Juan Leal, and today we are going to talk about a very specific topic, and it's the human trafficking. Sometimes people don't tell nothing about that, and we don't know what's happening around us. But maybe we have a person next to us that is a victim of the human traffic. So today we have a very special guest. She's the Dr. Haynes. Dr. Haynes, welcome to our program in UIC today.
Thank you so much, Juan, for having me. Thank you.
She have the organization, the Herbal organization, and today she are going to talk us about her organization, how it works, how they help the people when they're a victim of the human trafficking. So, Dr. Haynes, welcome, and let's start with a very specific question.
Okay.
What is human trafficking?
Thank you, Juan. I just want to say thank you again for having me as your guest, as the CEO of Haynes Harbor Group, which is a local nonprofit organization here in South Florida. I decided to launch my organization because I was once a victim of human trafficking. And having gone through that process, I knew that there was a need for confidential and residential housing for individuals that find themselves as victims and survivors of human trafficking. So again, I thank you for definitely shining a spotlight on this topic because it is a topic that needs to be talked about every single day because any and everyone could become a victim of human trafficking. So what is human trafficking? Human trafficking is when a person is compelled against their will through force, fraud, or coercion to sell themselves for monetary gains. And when I say it's against their will, because a person either enters into human trafficking through some type of fraudulent transaction, through some type of fraudulent means, or through some type of coercion, through some type of force actions. And so a lot of times when we find individuals who have been victims and now survivors of human trafficking, and we talk about their conversations and we talk about how they actually became a victim, we understand that our internet that we use for our daily,
Wow.
usage, whether that's to do our work, to do our educational platforms and so forth, we know that the internet is a huge gateway and how some of our younger victims are becoming victims of human trafficking.
So when you say that the internet, that's for like what, the teenagers or which people is take the internet? How the people take the victims in the internet? What ways they use to catch the people to going to traffic to the human trafficking?
Okay. So, like I said, the internet is definitely a gateway. We know that our younger population, our youth population, between the ages of 9 to about 14, we know that their internet use is much higher than those individuals that are on the older age spectrum from 19 and up. We know that social media is definitely taking over. When we look at TikTok, we look at Instagram, Facebook, and other platforms, we know that individuals are being befriended by these strangers. You know, we have a lot of our male population, and we know that the male victims are now a higher correlation is definitely there when we look at the data and we look at the statistics that males between the ages of 10 and 12 are becoming more victims of human trafficking because they're on the platforms and they're gaming and they're meeting strangers, and these individuals are posing as individuals that are of their age caliber, right? And they're able to actually lure these individuals to build their trust because they see that these individuals do become vulnerable. We have a lot of individuals that use the internet platform because they're out there searching for some type of connection, right?
Wow.
And sometimes they connect with individuals that are up to no good. And so we try to educate our youth, especially through our youth development and outreach programming, about the pros and cons of the internet. I'm not here to scare anyone to say that the internet is bad.
Incredible, but
That's not my platform, but I am here to definitely advocate for parents as well as educators and other individuals just to be mindful of what children are doing on the internet and to ask questions about people that they're meeting on the internet because a lot of times our victims have met their traffickers through the internet.
so parents, be sure with your kids and with the children when they are using the internet. Dr. Haynes said the internet is no bad, but we need to take care, in special with the teenager. So, Dr. Haynes, what was your motivation to create your organization?
So as I mentioned, Juan, I was a victim. However, I was not a victim based on the internet. I was a freshman in college, and I did my Doctor of Health Studies in studying the correlation between college-age students and victimizations of human trafficking, because we know that when college students go off to colleges, a lot of them do not go to colleges within their hometowns. A lot of them go out of state, a lot of them go further away from home, right? And so a lot of times these individuals, again, have those level of vulnerabilities, right? And how do they become vulnerable? A lot of them are trying to fit into a university, or trying to fit into a college campus where they don't know anybody. And a lot of times you have parties that are going on. You have a lot of the coercion that's there,
Wow.
right? Where individuals are posing and posting different types of job ads, and so forth. And so I answered a job ad because I was a college student, and we have a lot of college students who want to make extra money, right? And that's how my victimization started. And so I just encourage a lot of college students that do go off to college to just be careful, because everything that's posted on the internet may not be valid, right? And so do your due diligence by definitely checking out and making sure that you're not going along to some of these, interviews or these meetings and so forth, because exploitation can take place at any form, at any place, to anybody. So anyone can become a victim of human trafficking.
It's unbelievable. It's a very hard topic that we never know that. So when you tell to us, so within in our country, we see that there is a lot sexual exploitation, and on many times, on many occasions, people prefer to remain silent and not denunciate that. It's in daily in the news. So what do you think that people suffer from this? Don't report it.
So we know right now that the data and the statistics that we get from our National Human Trafficking Hotline, from our DCF hotline, from Polaris, and these are federal government agencies that track all of the calls that come in. And so definitely being able to report to our National Human Trafficking Abuse Hotline. A lot of the calls get called in. A lot of them are verified, and a lot of victims have been rescued. However, we know that there are more victims that are out there, and we know that the more that people see and they understand the possible red flags that a person may be a victim of human trafficking, the more reports will be out there, and the more that our data will definitely have more accuracy. Because right now the data is a little skewed, because we know that the numbers are definitely no, but we know that human trafficking is a global epidemic, and we know that it generates over $150 billion in revenue.
Wow, that's a lot. So how and when a person can realize that they are doing using human trafficking?
So a person never realizes it until after the fact, meaning that human trafficking can take place in different forms. You have familial exploitation, meaning that family members are actually trafficking, their children, their nieces, their cousins, and so forth. I mean, there's been many cases that have been here in the U.S. where you have mothers that are using their sons and daughters as a form of payment, meaning that they're allowing the landlord to sexually exploit their children as a form of rent payment. We have fathers that are exchanging their sons and daughters to actually, keep up with their substance abuse habits. And so you have family members that are exploiting their own children. And then you have, again, the sexual exploitation that is taking place with strangers. And so there's different forms of human trafficking. And a lot of times right now, what we see that's definitely prevalent is that we have peer recruitment, meaning that we have other young individuals that are recruiting their peers, right? Because they assume that they're in this relationship with a boyfriend, and this boyfriend is showing them a different way of life. This boyfriend is being able to help them financially, and not knowing that this boyfriend is a part of a larger ring, right? A trafficking ring.
So,
and so the more younger individuals they can get to come and to be a part of that, the more younger individuals they can get a chance to exploit. And so peer recruitment is definitely high. So we definitely go into the high schools. We're involved in our communities with youth development and youth outreach. And we speak a lot to our youth because we need them to understand that peer recruitment is on the high. And as we sit and have these workshops and as we have these conversations, that the traffickers themselves are having conversations as well.
So we never know whose person is working in the human trafficking organization. So let me, if I
Absolutely.
understand. So you say that maybe a couple of the teens, the boyfriend and the girlfriend, and the guy be a part of the human
Absolutely.
trafficking. So he involved the lady and he went out with her. He have some dinner, something like that, and he promised that gonna be a better life, but it's not real because he's tried to get her to be a
Absolutely.
part of the human trafficking.
So you have to understand that human trafficking, it definitely involves a psychological aspect of it, with the power and the control. So it's about building trust. And so at the end of the day, when an individual is in a relationship with an individual, they're grooming that individual, right? The more that I take you out, the more that I compliment you, the more that I make you see that I really value you, the more now you begin to trust me, right? And so if I tell you things that you may have never heard, that you're handsome, that you're beautiful, that you're smart, that you're intelligent, the more you're going to believe me, right? And so traffickers have a tactic where they're able to lure these individuals in through manipulation, right? Through these levels of vulnerabilities. Because we know a lot of times that a lot of our victims come from maybe one parent households. Some of them come from two parent households. But because there is a gap, right?
Wow.
Meaning that an individual have these levels of vulnerabilities, those traffickers are able to tap into that gap. And once they fill in that gap, they're able to now lure that individual into becoming a victim and then being able to bring other people along.
Wow, that's terrible. So, Dr. Haynes, what are the most common age in which human trafficking occurs according to your organization? And what type of population and ethnicity is the more targeted to?
So the most current age as of now, like I said, for our males is between the ages of 10 to 12. And for our girls, it's between the ages of 11 to 14.
Wow.
The population that we service right now, we only service our girls, and we service them from ages 12 to 18.
So they are so young. I think that they are more oldest people, but it's like kids.
They are kids.
So that's terrible for the families. So let's see. Dr. Haynes, one of your victims, you don't need to tell me the name or nothing on that, but one victim that you say, oh my God, that person was there and was terrible, and we think that we never can get back to the normal life. One case that you say that person right now is great, they return to the regular life, but you say very complicated that case.
Well, like you said, Juan, because of the confidential nature of what it is that we do, I can't, like, give you information in pertaining to a specific individual, but I can use myself as a prime example. Being a victim when I was in college, I was able to get the wraparound services, meaning that I was able to get the therapy, to get the additional support that was needed in order for me to forgive my traffickers, in order for me to move forward, and to create and launch my nonprofit organization, which is to be able to provide confidential housing for our victims and survivors of human trafficking. And so not many victims are able to come out of this and be able to share their stories. And so I'm definitely using my platform to be the voice for a lot of victims who are not here, and they're unable to speak on their behalf.
Wow. We saw that in your organization that people come to recover dead about the human traffic. So what are some of the programs that people look up in your organization? I saw that, for example, you have like yoga. What is the type
Yeah.
of the program that you have?
Yeah, so being a doctor of health science, I definitely hone in on the holistic and alternative integrative health practices. And so we do use yoga as well as mindfulness meditation in order to help individuals as they go through their traumas. We know that traumas can last a lifetime. And having the appropriate services and the wraparound services necessary for our individuals to engage in is something that was beneficial for me. And so being able to have a holistic approach when it came to individuals actually working through their traumas, we know that mindfulness meditation is definitely a pivotal point of holistic, being able to tap into the mind, the body, the spirit, and the soul, because we're not there just to be able to help an individual recover, financially, to recover, just on one level, but we're able to tap into the entire person, looking at the whole person and being able to provide those wholeness different types of modalities. And so yoga is definitely a part of that, as well as Reiki. We have a practitioner that comes in that provides that services for our individuals. We also do a lot of dance therapy. We do a lot of art therapy. So any of the creative therapies we actually use in order to help those individuals work through their traumas.
Dr. Haynes, no, but it's a pleasure that have you been here explain. I know that we need more time to explain
Yes.
how is that topic, but let me ask you something. In your organization, how people can contribute there? How can I help your organization? Because you say it's a non-profit organization, so how can be part of there?
Okay, so yes, we are a nonprofit organization, and we do accept private donations. We do accept funding. You can always go to our website, which is Haynes Harbor. That's HaynesHarbor.com, and they can always find ways to send, monetary donations, whether that's writing a check. We have our address there, and they can also find us through the PayPal link as well, and that's HaynesHarbor.com.
So thank you for attending. If you want to be part of the Harbor organization, you can donate. We are going to post it in our website, the website of the Dr. Haynes, and you can find the way to donate. So Dr. Haynes, thank you for coming us today, and I'm so grateful, and thank you and God for help people today to live that and the trafficking community.
Thank you so much, Juan, for having me.
Yeah, we done?